Okay.
Okay, ready?
Mhm.
Okay, good afternoon. It is 2:30 PM on Tuesday, May 27th, 2025, and this is the regular meeting of the Sandpoint Sustainability Committee. And it's now called to order in the council chambers at City Hall, 1123 West Lake Street, Sandpoint, Idaho. It's in time for roll call.
Awesome.
Made it.
Yeah, I still got a minute.
Okay, for the record, I am Chairman, Committee Chair Wayne Benner. Also present are, so I know staff, we won't have to go through that.
Mary Wilkos.
Christine Moon.
Diana Dugan.
Yeah. And we do have a quorum. Okay, well, at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our April 22nd, 2025 meeting. When I.
Move that we approve.
A second.
Sorry. Your name again?
Mary.
Mary,
Wilkos.
okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay, we'll go on then to old business and we'll take up the old business, continuing our discussion of the City of Sandpoint Comprehensive Plan chapters and their relationship to sustainability. And since I wasn't here last meeting, I'll let somebody else kind of jump into get started with that. Yeah.
Well, if I remember right, we worked on I guess some individual items, but we also talked a bit about the purpose of our checklist, what purpose with the checklist, and Katrina referred us to the kind of preamble to the to her matrix, and she has since revised the matrix, updated it and revised it.
It's not working.
Oh, it's not working.
No. Sorry, guys. Yeah, our AV system is currently down. It's not working. We're working to get it fixed. But we can't project anything onto the monitors, unfortunately.
Well, I have it up. We can see it on this side. See, she consolidated the questions by theme and revised that and put it in there on May the 4th, I think. To tell you the truth, I'm a little unclear as to what we were gonna do at our next meeting on this. We haven't made it through all the chapters.
I thought we had, I'm sorry, can I talk a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought we were waiting on Deborah's, and she said, didn't she say she had it and would,
I think they're all submitted
Right.
and in.
right, that's what I thought, we had them all. Deborah was the last one, I thought.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe that's what Katrina did here.
I think she
She incorporated all
She
the,
consolidated, like if 5 of us said something about the city administrator, she put them in there. Is how I understood she was doing it. And then what I thought was you guys were gonna go through them and see if they are what you want. Is that what, are those the things we would want on a checklist? And are those the things that something can be done about? Or like some of them, darn it, I wish I had my computer. Some of them aren't things that really can be done.
Right.
As I remember looking through there. I mean, some things were ideas, but it's not really something you would put on a checklist for the,
Right.
For proposal.
for that department to do.
Well, each department's almost gonna have to, I mean, you have a checklist, but each department's gonna NA on this, NA, and NA.
So would you like to do it by department?
I think just having one checklist, because otherwise everybody's gonna, whose checklist is this or whose is
Well, I
that?
would only get
But-
theirs.
But there's a checklist, I think, for proposed projects, right? And then there's a checklist for the city as an organization within its departments. And those to me are like two different.
Those would be, and I think the
Thing.
second one would be more of the plan, the sustainability plan for the city would be the second one. The first one would be for every department to be looking at, okay, Parks Department's gonna go out and mow a lawn, in a sense, or are we gonna go out and spray those weeds? Are we gonna cut the weeds? It's just something to be kind of thinking about. And I'm just using that as an example, and the same thing with the streets and everybody else. From daily operations down to projects. And then you'd have your sustainability plan for the city that would be in a sense like the comprehensive plan, or more like the transportation plan.
Or
and
like
all
an
that.
operational plan.
So do you want to go through the questions and see if we can answer, like, has Sandpoint established an Office of Sustainability? No, I mean, we can answer those questions. Right? And if we put like no behind them, then that wouldn't have to be on our checklist, or is that something that we would like to see?
Didn't
you guys already do this
They put them
Like,
all on there.
months ago?
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were,
This has already been done.
You didn't go through and say, have they established an
They
office?
started at the very top of the list
Yeah.
and did like 3 or 4 pages
Of yes and no.
of yes and no.
We did when we had that special meeting.
Oh, I wasn't here for that one,
I wonder where that
where
was.
the answers are. Well,
Where does
Katrina
that
probably
reside?
has that, or it's in the
Let's see, I wonder. if it's-
stuff on your resource page.
But
or-
we didn't get through everything.
Yeah, you didn't get through it all,
No,
but
we
I'm
did-
just looking
yeah.
at where you're
We did
looking right
start
now.
there.
It has been started. There's no, to me, there's
Yeah,
no
you're
point
right. We got, like,
starting.
3 or 4 pages done.
Yeah, it was, I know it stopped, I think you guys stopped at the bottom of one of the pages so that it was like a clean cutoff.
Okay,
From what I remember, it was that March special meeting to make
Right.
up for January's. It was a very productive meeting, actually. Just sometimes some are, some aren't.
so
Yeah.
what are those X's?
This is the
Not-
old one,
It's just
before
It's
she
not all meetings, though, really.
consolidated. And I was just
Sometimes they're
wondering
productive,
if-
sometimes they're not.
if we had yeses and nos on them. This was the March 3rd. And now we have a May 5th.
So April was, yeah, Earth Day, and I was at the Smart Center in Spokane.
Maybe we should wait till Katrina gets here.
Yeah, because she was the one that was actually
Versus-
doing all, I think, doing all the markup and everything.
Yeah.
Isn't there a copy of it in the?
The repository,
folder? Yeah,
I didn't see it.
she said she won't be here till 3:30.
Chapters are there that we submitted. See. And then the checklist matrix. The first one and then the more recent one.
Is that what you clicked on, and didn't have anything?
I didn't see it. Let me
Notes or
look.
anything? Who actually picks?
So you're
those?
clicking on the May 4th version?
See, this, I believe, is the main.
Do you actually take notes? Are you the one that?
I do the minutes.
Minutes?
Mhm. Yeah, and the last information that was sent to the clerk's office to upload to the repository was the May 4th, 2025 sustainability checklist matrix.
it isn't before. No.
It
it's
should
not
be on the
before.
repository.
It's on the bottom.
Here it
The
is.
May 4th one is the bottom.
Consolidating.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the read first because
Read this first.
Katrina included comments on cells where the link to the committee definition of sustainability was unclear. The committee should discuss these. I think that's an old.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Validated questions. I mean, I think that's where we want to be working.
So when you answered those questions or talked about them, did you put them somewhere special or, because it's, if you already looked at this one and said no, I wonder why it's still on there, I guess.
Well, I think the fact that we don't have it, it needs to be something to address in the future if we want to.
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering, like, is there a, I don't know, put things on, put those on this page, put those on this page, things that can be done, things that you want to do. I don't know.
Right.
Was
How you
Katrina
guys
at the
want-
last meeting as well? Who was working, whatever you discussed at the last meeting?
So none of this was worked on at the last meeting. We didn't get to it, I don't believe.
No, we did not.
Because until Katrina gets here, I would be willing to discuss some of the things on my items, and I had, like pedestrian cycling infrastructure, so it kind of ties into a lot of things that went on at the council meeting. So, and I mean, I know you even discussed some of it, so I would be willing to talk.
You just have
It's-
to make
it's-
an amendment to your agenda,
Oh, okay,
which is totally doable.
okay, it's part of the comp plan, I mean,
Yeah.
it would be my portion of the comp plan.
Your chapter, I
Mhm.
see. what you're saying.
Yeah, my.
Because there is a bike ped committee, I'm not sure that. That would be something that,
Well, we can move the new business up and have that discussion for. And put that underneath that.
You just have to make a motion and vote to amend the agenda.
To postpone this discussion until
Right.
Katrina arrives. She's given a lot of thought to how to use this.
right, unless you guys had ideas on what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, I was just making a suggestion if we needed something, so.
Yeah, we can move down to the new business and discuss that part of it. And wait for the discussion on the comp plan chapters.
I move we postpone discussion on the comp plan chapters until Katrina's here.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
All right,
Okay, we'll start down with the new business and open the floor for discussion of bicycles.
so I don't have my things right in front of me, I should, but, I guess I'll start by at the city council meeting, the last city council meeting, which I watched last, my gosh. And I think it was you, Pam, maybe brought up the issue that there aren't a lot of bike racks in town. And I mean, that's something, I don't even know where we can go with this, but.
Was on the minutes of the bike ped. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, with the whole parking lot thing going on and saying that if you're gonna build a parking lot, obviously that's gonna just invite more cars. So I think if we can get, even if we just recommend, or I don't even know how we can go about doing this, but more bike racks so that we can invite more bikes downtown. I mean, I rode my bike yesterday to yoga, and there were like 6 bikes trying to fit onto one round rack, and they were all like, half of them blew over because there was wind and people came out and their bikes were just all a mess. And I mean, who wants to drive downtown or ride their bike downtown when they don't even have anywhere?
Isn't there an ordinance or that says how many bike racks businesses are supposed to supply?
For new ones.
For new ones, you
For new-
can't implement it for existing, and if the business has been existing for longer than the ordinance, then you can't. I mean, it's kind of like saying you're supposed to have your trash enclosed, but if you've had your trash can unenclosed for 40 years, you can't.
Mhm.
It seems like I would agree. That is a problem, and it seems like, thinking about that, there's an opportunity to, like, you could have public art, bike racks that are public art that would add to the interesting quality of our town with tourism and such versus a business has an obligation to put, you know,
So many.
a very simple, functional bike rack that doesn't do anything.
Parking meters.
Except the.
Yeah, parking meters, that's what they are. I mean, those are our de facto and, light poles and things, and that's a bad solution for a tourism-based economy. So I was just out at the wildlife refuge up near in Bonners, and they had this beautiful bike rack. It was art, really.
Would that fall under the bike ped committee to? Where
What-
do we cross over?
Well, there's always a lot of crossover, but I think just here again, we gotta relate it to kind of our purpose of sustainability. And I have to agree because my focus is getting cars out of town completely.
Right.
I mean, you're gonna have a sustainable community. Cars are gonna be obsolete in the future here, so especially in urban areas.
And
Yeah.
my topic's gonna cross over into the tree committee, so I mean, I think there's
Yeah.
opportunities for us to work with other city communities and other groups with, when we have ideas like this.
Well, just at the Planning and Zoning Commission at our last meeting. Where it was discussing parking, which wasn't even on the agenda, but there were a lot of people discussing parking. But one lady brought up and she got into quite detail about it and said that we are not a walking, biking town, period, not at all,
No,
far from it.
and you saw a lot of bikes this weekend riding on the sidewalk, which I kind of don't blame them because the street is so dangerous because you just have everybody. And, my other thing was too, the speed limit of the cars. Maybe is there a way for us? I know I'm kind of branching out.
Well, but here again, that's NC Spokane, for example's, in a lot of neighborhoods now going to 20. Downtown, it's 20, and around every single park, it's 20, and some school areas are 15.
Yeah.
And they're all camera monitored, so they don't have to be patrolled. You go through there, and that includes bicycles.
Wow.
And
It's
because I saw one,
parking,
I saw
But that,
bike parking, the new parking.
yes.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
really good idea, like a really large rack, yeah. That's better, I think, than a
Might-
lot of really small racks.
Might come in with bikes on their cars,
New parking lot or the one that they just paved?
that one.
That possibly should have been proposed before they paved it and
Yeah.
striped it?
Well, it's just, it's not in the pavement, it's on top of it, right?
Okay.
I'm just asking, can't they build a,
But if you're talking time and money to send someone back out there to go install it, whereas they already spent time and money to pave it and stripe it.
yeah, well,
So it would have,
Well, it remains a need.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was just saying,
It's hard to think on First Avenue where you would have bike racks.
out in front of stores.
Right. On
There
the
are.
sidewalks where people
Right.
are.
And you can ride on sidewalks except downtown. So. just can't ride
But there isn't a lot of room on our sidewalks. Our sidewalks can get
Yeah,
busy.
I know.
Yeah, but everybody was riding their bikes this weekend on the sidewalks. I mean, and again, I didn't even blame
Downtown?
them. Yeah, downtown.
Mhm.
I was at
Yeah, it was,
First and
So maybe there's
Was-
some designated
was that
bike
during-
rack
Was that
places.
during the car show you're talking about?
This was on
Memorial.
Saturday, Sunday and
Okay.
Monday. I went down.
It's a
I
car
always
show, they
go
went-
down.
They don't want you riding bikes on the streets, but,
No.
I'd like to take a step back and consider our committee's role vis-à-vis other committees like PED that have that as their specific limited mission. And ours is so broad that we really could weigh in on practically every other committee's work. And could we think about how we would do that? How would we communicate with them? It seems like we need to figure out, are we gonna be sitting here duplicating their efforts? I'm not really for that.
Right.
well, and I talked to the mayor, he said you're gonna be looking at and talking about every single committee and things that are being done citywide, committee-wide, just because we are so broad
From our
from our
perspective.
perspective, yeah.
So,
But to what end?
Well, from the sustainability side of it. because
Right, but I mean,
there's-
just amongst ourselves.
I mean,
maybe
there's
we
some
need
things-
Some formal mechanisms to do that, I think.
and this is for you on your trees, but, for example, I mean, when you really look at sustainability and how you want the community to move forward, cutting down big trees, in the name of development, is that sustainable?
Right.
Especially when you don't have a way to replace them. That's a tree committee part of it, but from our standpoint, it probably needs to be addressed of somehow, looking in the long term, long range. Does that make sense? I mean, we've got a brand new business going into town that should have gone through every one of these committees, and I made a comment about that after it went through planning and zoning.
Well, it might still.
Yeah. They're cutting down all the trees on Church Street. Because they have to get the development in. Is that? What do you mean?
how,
The trees in front of the new hotel, or the new Russian housing units?
Eric confirmed with you that they're cutting the trees down?
That's planning in,
There's no picture of trees
yeah.
in there.
uh-huh.
It doesn't matter. Eric gets the final say. and
I
we
know,
said that
but
at
that's-
the
He
meeting.
has to
But-
be a.
That's where,
Right.
it's still an open question.
yeah.
In their plan, it's cut them out, right?
But
Their
Eric-
idea is cut them out. but-
Eric gets the final say. They don't want to keep them, but Eric can tell them they have to.
Yeah.
Right. He's apparently the bottom line for it, but I wrote to him and he said he can't comment on it now.
Yeah.
Because of the appeal period.
So anyway, I mean, those are just, I think that's why really, when you look at the other committees, there are things that are, we need to be looking, because sustainability is long-term, long-range. It's the same thing as the comp plan. And in fact, two places that I have found, the comp plan is a sustainability plan. They call them the same thing. For
Yeah.
future towns. Because they really basically, how's this town, or how's this community going to grow and sustain itself 20 years, 30 years, 50 years down the road. And so they've kind of replaced it, kind of intertwined the comp plan to sustainability plans. And I think that's where we're,
So if we are agreed that mature trees on Church Street should remain there for sustainability, then as an example of what our committee could and should do, then how do we proceed? Do we go to the tree committee and say,
we could do that as a recommendation from the sustainability committee
Uh,
to go to the tree committee and say, here's some thoughts about what we see tree wise that, if you're gonna be cutting everything and removing things or whatever, maybe, we need to have a good plan or something in place to make sure that 20 years down the road, we still have a tree there that's
Can't we make our
mimics
own
what we have.
recommendation? I mean, do we have to go to the tree committee to?
I think we should.
I was
Well-
also told that Eric could come to the council about those trees.
Well, I think, and I won't get into it, I got a plan for it, so.
Maybe,
Bye.
maybe we do a thing where we have a liaison for each one of those committees that looks at the agenda prior to, knows what's on the agenda, and then brings it to our committee so that we can present it prior to them having the meeting and then being done, and we can't really do much about it. Right? So like somebody that actually goes to the agenda, because I can't keep up with everything that is going on.
I try
And-
to and I can't either, so don't.
Mhm. Yeah, it is really hard because they have all these special meetings, like you all had that May 7th special meeting, and I had wanted to put together some information for right now myself. Oh, let's see.
So are you, this is just a side real quick, are you on that automatically get the meetings to your email?
No, I don't do
Okay.
that. I just,
I-
I
we'll
go
talk about it
to.
later. I can
okay,
tell you how to do that.
Okay,
Because Melissa set that up.
okay.
You can go online and set it up, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what she just needs.
Yeah, and I send out those notifications typically every Monday or Friday for all the upcoming agendas that are posted. I take care of all the notifications for it and subscribers for that deal. So
Right.
if anybody ever needs help, you can also email me and I can direct you how to do it.
But what I'm thinking is like maybe somebody in this meeting says, okay, I'll take care of I'll look at the agenda and see what's on the agenda each week or each month for pedestrian bikes or, for the Parks and Rec or, whatnot. So that way, then I can bring to the meeting and say, hey, did you all see on this agenda? I don't know, I would volunteer to do either one of them.
It would be a time,
Like trees.
it would be a
Okay.
a
Okay.
timing thing because their meetings eat up the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like their meeting is after ours. You would miss that opportunity to share ahead,
Right, right.
but that's a great idea, think that out.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of unique in the way that our business basically interlaces with maybe all the other committees.
Very unique, yes.
So there's like tree
Historic.
story, see there's.
It would be nice to have a flow chart.
Yeah.
Which showed all
It's the
those.
historic one, I keep tabs up.
And then the parks,
Parks and Rec.
Also, all meetings are scheduled on the city website. You guys
Yeah.
can go to those calendars and see them for what days they are on.
Yeah, and that's what I
And-
kind of do,
yeah.
but it's like I'm saying, like I'm one person, so trying to keep up with every single committee, so if we had each person maybe responsible, just not responsible, but just take it upon themselves to take a look at it and.
Well, and I mean, I think it's our committee's responsibility to really look into things detailed and long range, to come up with some recommendations. I mean, for example, trees.
must,
Take
must remain.
all trees on city right of way that must be removed for new development that developer shall pay the city $50,000 per tree or something like that. Just like sidewalks, same kind of scenario.
I won't keep the tree.
It might though. It'll make them think
Well,
anyway.
why couldn't you just have a prohibition on cutting the tree? I mean, why do you have to say that
Well,
must be removed?
It
I
must
just-
go through review.
Yeah,
They do go through review, but I mean, just if in fact they have to come down, I mean, some trees. And I'm sure they're gonna find out when they go to put in a new sewer line and water line for any development. Anywhere around, if you've got a great big old tree in front of you, you're gonna have to cut through it to get utilities through. Just the way it is. I mean, I could think of my place, same thing. But, so there are some times when you have to, no matter what. But at the same time, it's kind of like, the big discussion now about sidewalks, for example, in neighborhoods, and are they necessary, and or should it be slow traffic down? I mean, speed limits are another thing that I think really sustainable from our standpoint is coming back to the city with, here's our recommendation, having dealt with it and talked to people and looked things up, is that maybe it's a little more sustainable in the long run to slow traffic down, and traffic calming is becoming a very, very important aspect in communities now. And then that goes along with the bike racks, businesses, yeah, it's in their best interest to put a bike rack out. They usually put them out on the city's right of way. And or block sidewalks or whatever with them. But I think it's a very good reasoning from our standpoint is that you're gonna have to make more provisions for other alternative transportation in the long run. Not necessarily it happens today, but down the road it will. It's the same thing of we're not making any parking spaces for golf carts or 4x4s or four-wheelers. Most cities, that's becoming their mode of transportation. Bicycles and other means because they can get around real easy, they can park real easy, and they're economical. They're much less of a hammer on the environment. So anyway, just as my sales pitch.
Has there been any talk at all, other than within amongst ourselves, of closing down Front First Avenue?
I've been to the business, the downtown business association about it.
And how do most businesses feel about that?
Actually, the last group I talked with were for it, to try. It's not anything in stone at all. It was just, I had been told before that the downtown businesses were totally against it. So I went to one of the meetings and just talked about, how it would work, and like they did it for the car show, they do it for the art,
Yeah.
the site, you do it for the sidewalk sale, I can't remember what that's called. But just
Crazy days.
crazy
yeah,
days,
crazy
yeah.
days.
On an occasion or pick these were just things we talked about, like maybe once a month to start, and see, and what I think is people would say, oh, it's Wednesday, we could go to Sandpoint and walk, And they were interested, like I said, nobody had, they were curious to know what would it require, like putting the signs, the roadblocks up, and what it cost them. And those are things that I have not checked into fully because I'm waiting for them to, there's new business, the hands changed at the Hallmark, so people are moving businesses. So until there's a firm group, and I know Justin was there when I was there that one time, so I think they would be open to discussion, I would say that. And then it would have to go through the city. But they block roads off for us for block parties, it's just.
And how do you go about
And that's
proposing this and starting this?
That's a good way to do it for this downtown, is to have a block party.
Right, and that's kind of what they,
Yeah.
just put an application in to do that. And it's, yeah. Yeah,
I mean, like us as a committee, how can we?
so I wonder if we would want to go to one of the downtown business meetings, I can't even remember when they are, I guess I'm involved in other things.
But see, that's
once-
something that we could say one
I could find
person
out.
could go to,
Right.
that's
And
something. that-
present again, right?
I was just gonna try to keep us on track. I don't know how this is relating to the new business. I'm just,
Well, I think that's all part of,
Is it
it's
part of the
part of the
comp
comp
plan?
plan because it was part of at least what I put down.
okay,
And I'm looking at my questions and that's. kind of
okay,
where-
nope, that's
Uh,
fine. I just,
Well,
I wasn't sure what your questions were and I just wanted
Yeah,
to
has
make sure
Sandpoint considered creating a car-free zone in the business district on First Ave?
Okay,
That was, so I'm just kind of going through, yeah.
no worries. I
Uh-huh.
just
Yeah, I just Googled on,
Just food for thought, that's
on
all.
Chat GPT, what small towns in the western US have business areas closed to vehicle traffic to promote walkability, and it's just spitting out a big
Yeah,
list.
yeah, it's amazing.
It's a lot.
Well, I know Nelson finds out that the businesses downtown do better when the road's closed than when it's not.
I agree, especially when people complain about the parking
Yeah.
down there.
So what's our action item? Around this?
Well, I could find out I could find out when their next, the business meeting is. Did somebody want to volunteer to go do that? I go with. Or do you wanna,
How do I find out what date it is? Cause
I
I can do it if I can.
I can set it all up. I can find out and tell you.
Yeah. I'd be interested to go.
Okay. Cause it'd be nice to go touch base with them again. They needed tango. What was tango?
So what committee is this?
It's called the Downtown Business Association.
Is it like chamber, like a chamber?
No, it's not the chamber, because the chamber, she comes sometimes to, it's the business owners. They
Oh,
get
okay.
together and they plan like activities. You know, like when
Huh.
there's something going on in town, they talk about putting signs in their windows and who wants to do what. They just talk about downtown business. I went to get them to recycle, which is when I started that. But I'll let you know, Diana.
Okay.
Great.
Thanks for the signs down lower.
That's the second sign on. Yeah, thanks. I think they help.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good idea.
And then another question on here of mine was, does Sandpoint have any plans to complete a car-free multi-use path from Serenga Trail on Pine Street to City Beach? I know I'm asking a lot, but do they have any plans to do anything with car-free? Like car-free path, bike path? To the downtown or to City Beach or
From where?
said some from Serenga Trail? I mean, I know that's a long way, but other towns have done things like that.
Where's Seringa Trail?
The Pine Street,
Pine
Pine Street
Street.
Woods.
So that's Bonner County. And then City of Sandpoint. Cause, yeah,
And I'm thinking Pine Street, like just, maybe Greta's Segway, I don't know. if you
as
know that.
soon as you pass the train trestle,
Mhm.
you're Bonner County.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mhm.
And so that is a multi-use path in front of Travers.
Okay.
So Bonner County would be the one then to put in, or need to put in the path there.
Mhm.
I know the
It's
bike.
something that I know Brandon has mentioned, Road and Bridge has talked about. But because there's a big push for it from a lot of people. That road gets biked and walked a ton. But like Pam said, this, because then it will also include widening the train trestle. Which then you're talking with, if it's Union Pacific or BNSF. Corresponding with them, because that's their property. And then connecting it to the city of Sandpoint, so there's a lot of moving parts. It's not just,
See, but this is good. It's good, that's good.
They have talked.
they have talked about it. I know that. It's
And I know,
been,
yeah,
Okay.
I just don't know where it's at.
the bike ped has talked about just a safe route to the beach from the neighborhoods.
Anywhere, yeah.
Just
And if you, I mean, you
For
could
years.
almost get to City Beach if you go from Pine Street up Division, because that's all multi-use path to Highway 2, then there's the bike path. That, I mean, it doesn't end up to get to Dubs.
It's really,
So-
it's really not, I mean, it's just so disconnected
Yeah.
and everything, and there are areas where you have to cross it.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't even feel safe
So
riding downtown.
I don't ride a bike enough to know, where would you put a path in that doesn't cross for
have to-
vehicles? How would that be possible?
It would be tough, but I mean, they could do something better, like, for instance, I would, if it were up to me, if this were a perfect world, I would make Church Street one way, and I would put in a big lane for cycling, and at least get people down there, because I tell you, just riding down Church Street to Boyer or to Fifth is very chaotic. And I mean, you don't have, like, riding down there are stop signs, so you have to stop. There's nothing that is contiguous that you could have kids just ride their bikes downtown.
Right, you'd have to stop at streets and have crosswalks and.
Right,
when you
right,
come.
but I mean, but if you'd have to change up a few things,
Right.
because if you're going down Church, there are stop signs, there are a lot of stop signs, but I just still feel like we have the ability. There's the ability there, we just have to work at it, and it might be chipping away at something and, you know, doing one section at a time. Maybe work our way back somehow.
You can use those poles in the street too, and they could be like seasonal
Yeah.
to actually create a lane for
Yeah.
bikes in places where there's a lot of merging and really busy, like other cities, or they do in downtown Spokane.
Yeah, love those poles.
Yeah, they're really,
That's, and even what they did on Division with painting it a bright green, that really helped. That,
Yeah.
just that little
Just
thing
fades.
just made it, you know, made it that much better, because it's like, it's almost like it's official, because, you know, you still get people yelling, you know, what are you doing in the street?
I guess my concern with like division
Right.
is still you get people that. I get that you guys are on bikes. But I've almost hit 4 people on bikes. Because I'm going down Division. And I go past a bike. And then I turn my blinker on to turn onto Pine Street and I'm slowing down. And they keep going, and I'm like. And I asked Brandon, he's like, well, technically you're in the wrong,
Yeah.
because, and I'm like,
It's the car that's supposed to,
but
yeah,
how do,
But you have to stop it.
You have to
stop.
you've got
yeah,
to
but
stop.
they don't stop. The bikes
don't have
keep going.
Bikes,
They keep
Bikes
going.
don't have to
They
stop
don't
at
have
stop
different-
sign.
we,
But
we
that's-
are supposed to yield.
yield.
And
I
if
guess
there
that's
is
my
a
only
car
concern, is
stop.
that not,
But if-
cars aren't going to,
Right.
not every car is
If
going to
you're
pay that
going
much
this
attention.
way and a car wants to make a right turn and they just pass you and they know that you're there, you need to stop as a car.
Right.
You
I
need
didn't
to-
even, it was dark.
Oh.
I had no idea he was in the
Oh.
lane.
Oh,
I seen him as I started to pull and he
Oh.
reflected off of my
That's
headlights.
bad.
yeah.
And I
that's
was
bad.
like,
Bad bike rider.
oh, okay,
Yeah, I
thank
know,
you.
it's
Cause
scary.
I was like, bro, I don't want to hit anybody.
I stop at that 4-way. I ride down that way a lot.
At least yield.
I
You see
stop.
me with my blinker
Well, I
on.
stop
Yeah,
at
there's
that
a stop
4-way
sign, yeah,
and
yeah,
wait
that's
my
good.
turn, just like a vehicle
Yeah, yeah,
does.
And that's
Right,
not
right,
how I
right,
was
right.
always taught, is that
Mhm.
bikes, if you're on the road, you're supposed to like,
If there's other vehicles.
if there's other vehicles, you're supposed to follow the same like road
Yeah,
rules,
if
either
there's
stop at
nobody
stop
there,
lights, stop
you
at stop signs. Yeah, if there's nobody.
Yield and cruise through.
Yeah,
Actually, Idaho rule is if you're a bike and there's a stop sign, you don't have to stop.
Right.
You can go right through it as
Like,
long as there's no other cars.
but that's
Right, but you
what
have
I'm
to
saying
yield
is
to
I've
see that
almost
there's no-
hit
I see-
so
I see
many
what you're saying.
bikes
Yeah.
because they just
I understand.
don't even
Or I
look,
understand.
and I'm like,
Okay, so we should come
Anyways.
back.
Now,
it just makes
electric
me
get
nervous,
away
like
with it.
having
And
a
and so-
pathway that goes through town. when-
Right.
To go to the bike ped, talk with the bike ped, see, that's something that, because they are talking about safe bike routes to the beach as well. So that's something that we would,
So that's an action item.
to talk to.
So how would I,
I
like,
do
so
not.
say I look at their agenda and I see, oh, this is on here, can I just prepare an email and send it to whoever the committee chair is, or committee president, or however that works?
Would you think we would have to talk to the liaisons for those committees and see how they would want to do that, I guess,
That or the chair.
yeah. To see, because that would be something you'd have to set up and figure out, but it's great to think about and come up with. So think about it, see what you could come up with. If you start like with the bike pen and look at their agenda, look at their calendar, how would you approach that? Since you're excited about that.
I just want to
Yeah.
clarify real quick. We're still on item number 3, correct?
Yes.
Under new business. Okay. I just want to make sure for my minutes, I'm in the right spot.
Now, let's talk about something else then. Let's get rid of, or let's build a new city beach.
Well, that's not on our agenda.
Huh?
Well, I'm talking about sustainability.
Right, but we
I
haven't.
know.
We're not touching the beach.
No,
Too much
no.
else going on.
This is for you, actually. I've
Okay.
already,
It's
I've already
not an
got 2
agenda
plus
item.
It's not, I think we should,
2 agreements.
honestly, I think we should
Talk
have
to
the
me
times
about it.
associated with our agenda items.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We
the
can stay
proposed parking
focused.
ordinance. one of the things on, it's coming back to the City Planning and Zoning Commission on this next, 17th, yeah. I was trying to remember what
And
the
the
date was.
18th at the city.
Yeah.
That's all.
And, after, some, quite a bit of discussion about downtown, free parking or no parking requirements for development of any kind, within a certain block area. I'm wondering if it's something might want to take a look at of real quick here, because it's a short time frame. But coming up with a formula for some parking requirements for residential. Commercial, leave it off the table, works perfect. But when you get residential, and the impacts 30 years from now, I mean, I can envision just exactly what Sandpoint's gonna look like it's gonna look like Nelson. And when you have to walk 3, 4, 5 blocks uphill to park your car for the night, I think we need to be taking a little bit different stand of how you regulate parking for residential development in the downtown core. Because as it stands, I mean, you can go,
So you're talking multifamily.
multifamily, well.
That's a little spooky when she does that.
But no, it's just, if somebody wants to build apartment places downtown,
Right.
rentals, affordable housing, workforce housing, or whatever, and you have, say, 200 or 300 units, that's, even though we'll still allow cars downtown, that's 200 or 300 cars. Sooner or later, yeah, it's gonna force the building of a high-rise parking structure. Is that what the town wants? Is that something that we really want to look at? I mean, we're supposed to be looking down the future, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now.
Or building parking as part of, as a requirement of if they're gonna go up, one of your floors is parking.
Well, and could be a
That,
recommendation.
I mean, that's an option.
Yeah. Right now, we don't have that.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was
It
just
allows
in
us to
Nelson,
go up pretty high.
well, but
That's
that's,
what
I mean,
And
there's not that many options. We can't, with our water table, can't
Yeah.
go down.
right.
You're forever pumping water out of the garages.
But I mean, that's something, to me, that's more of a sustainability issue down the road. And because sure, we're going to drive up the need for a parking structure on our taxpayer dollars that we're paying for, subsidizing somewhat. But is that a future that we want to see? Or I'm just asking the question, is that something we should be looking at? Because that's a long-term, comp plan wants to have residential downtown. I agree. I think that's great. Energizes things and gets things going. But do we want to do it where they have to, we have to build parking lots for them,
Or they provide their own parking.
or they provide their own parking?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically the two options.
Yeah.
right?
And they didn't come up with a solution at
That's,
at city council meeting. I mean, they were still discussing that. It was
It's
going
all
on
a
and on.
proposal.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
the parking ordinance as it stands right now basically focuses on parking lots, parking spaces on public right-of-way, city beach. The parking lots mainly, and that part of it. It doesn't address 20 years down the road what it's gonna be like.
I lived in an area in Seattle, in downtown Seattle and Fremont, actually, and what happened in my neighborhood is we had all sorts of people. I lived up the hill and people parked in front of my house
Mm.
constantly.
Mhm.
And a lot of neighborhoods were putting in no parking signs if you don't live
Mm.
here, which was, you have to have that.
Mhm.
And we have a number of residential areas where that's what's gonna happen
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
It's just gonna creep in.
Is there any area of city land that would, maybe are a few blocks from downtown that would house a multi-level parking garage?
Do we want,
Lighthouse?
do we want a do we want something like that?
I think we need it, but just not in the center of town.
Well, like,
I'd like to see parking out of town and then have
Yeah.
transportation for people.
Yeah.
in-
Or-
That's what I'd like to
Yeah.
see too.
Coeur d'Alene Resort, and I made a point the last time we were in Coeur d'Alene down there to go down and check out their parking structure for the Coeur d'Alene Resort.
Mhm.
There was not I take that back, there were 2 cars up on the very top floor. Or top parking level. And I won't tell you what was going on with those 2 cars because they were using that as a place to, I guess, enjoy a picnic, lunch or whatever.
Gotta
But,
pay to park there.
but, yeah, but you're not disturbed.
Ah,
But, you know, I mean, is that, I'm, parking structures work. There's one in Nelson, BC up there that, a parking structure for people downtown. And nobody that wants to park downtown can use it because it's all employees or businesses and things like that.
Ah.
So, you gotta, here again, you know, then you gotta maintain those. You gotta keep up with that. I concur. Maybe the best thing to do is build a parking structure for, golf carts. You know, bicycles. If you want cars out of town or don't want to encourage them, you need to come up with some other alternative.
Right.
Right. and
But
then-
if you buy a unit like to live, right?
That would've been a
And you
perfect-
have accessibility issues personally,
Mhm.
right? You're not gonna be like going to some parking, you know, and so you're gonna run into ADA issues.
Mm.
But maybe there could be,
No.
public transportation like a spot bus.
But
A
why,
shuttle.
why can't the units that are building have parking, that
What?
they provide parking on site?
You
And
could-
that limits how many units they can provide.
It does. There's ways of getting around the handicap stuff.
But I mean,
Sure.
why should the
Might be an
taxpayers?
it might be an affordability of the units issue.
Yeah.
The developer then has to charge top dollar because they can only have a few units.
But then the rest of us are subsidizing this.
Yeah, without parking.
You know, I don't think that's equitable either.
Mhm. Now, what about looking
So the
at,
code needs to change.
well, and that's why
Right,
that's
exactly.
exactly why I'm bringing it up because, maybe I think the parking ordinance is a little premature myself. But what about, say, for example, and I'm just throwing this out, is that units under 400 square feet. One spot per 2 units. Units up to 700 square feet, you got one parking spot. Units above that, 2 parking spots, you gotta provide. Based off of knowing that somebody that's gonna rent a motel room, basically, may or may not have a car. 1 out of 2 may have, so you may not have to have as much parking. But when you get up to like a, 700 square foot unit, that's a house, that's a tiny home. ADU, basically. They're gonna have at least 1 car, if not 2. So then you just require parking as you go up, because you know, for one, they're gonna get more money for them. They're not building affordable housing if they're doing that. But if you're building affordable housing and you wanna go in and have small little, tiny home type rooms, 300 square feet or so, then yeah, maybe 1 spot per 3 or something like that. Just, and I'm here again, I'm just talking out loud, but it's some
How about
alternative.
providing like, spaces for, like, I don't know if they exist anymore, like zip cars. Cars that everybody has access to, share economy kind
Share
of,
light,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, that was in Seattle, there were zip cars all over the place. In the garages.
Can we, I just keep going back to our mission here. Can we like come up with some principles so we don't have to solve the logistics of how you would do this and say to the city, this in principle needs to be done?
Yeah,
It all has to be the engineers.
Yeah. I mean, but we can come back and just say,
Be a recommendation.
a recommendation from our sustainability is that you need to have some kind of required parking in place for
Right.
residential.
Right.
And some kind of sliding scale or something in there though, that's gonna take the pressure off of the taxpayers paying for parking for a developer.
Right.
Or required parking or shared vehicles or options like
Yeah.
that, like not us prescribing what the solution
Yeah.
is. Right. But just that
Mhm.
the problem needs to be solved as part of each and every development.
For
Not-
sustainability.
For sustainability and not have the can kicked down the road every single
Yeah.
project.
Yeah, I don't think unless we bring in all the engineers and
Yeah.
everybody else that,
But,
that's more than I wanted to do when I'm retired.
right,
So I mean, and here again, that's part of our parking here is that one of the things that's, to me, that's a long-term part of it. That is in the comp plan. Requires, you want workforce housing, you want residential downtown, you wanna have a vibrant community, but at what cost?
Mhm.
Right.
And even paid parking lots, at what cost? Because then people are paying, so here again, those are all options, but at the same time, I'm gonna rent downtown or have a place down there. I can tell you I'm gonna have a car.
well, would you have a car if there was a shared car available? Nice shared cars available?
Probably not. If I was living downtown in a small unit, yeah. Between a bike and whatever, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I lived in Seattle, worked downtown, there were a lot of people who didn't have cars and they would use those. They're very cheap to
Mhm.
use.
Same in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
When I lived in Philadelphia, there were a lot of people that didn't have cars.
And if
Okay.
that's what you want your downtown to be, then make it that.
Right.
Right. So what's our action item around this?
I think an action item, go back to the recommendation to the city would be take a harder look at your parking plan that you're laying out for downtown and address all issues, not just the paid parking lots, but address all the issues downtown and ultimately all around the whole city, because you're right. You fill up the downtown, you put the pressure on, you'll start to see more and more people parking in front of a lot of the areas outlying close to downtown. And most of those don't have parking garages or
Right.
anything to start with, so it's gonna impede on their rights to be able to park close to their homes.
Yeah, Lake Street.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it happens anytime there's a parade or anything, all the neighborhoods in
Yeah.
town fill up.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Hmm?
Bizarre. They didn't, and see, so part of me thinks businesses should supply some parking also. Bizarre went to that spot on Boyer and Pine, in between Lake and
Uh-huh.
Pine.
Right.
Yeah.
Their
And now
park-
it's creating a problem on
everywhere.
Pine when you go into
on
the
Lake,
garden area
right,
and the barbecue, there's a
right.
line that's coming
Uh-huh.
across
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially with.
Boyer.
Right.
And it's creating congestion on the Boyer Pine
They're using
intersection
that
because
alley.
of that.
They
Yeah,
went
that
through
was,
Yeah.
people's yard.
That's
right,
created
the
a-
potholes in that alley,
Yeah.
right across from me.
Hmm.
So at some point, businesses can't just expect to put
Well,
a business
see
and
that-
have no parking.
And it's not in the downtown core, so they should,
Right,
Or they should at
but they have
least,
parking.
they should at least pay,
they have like four
Depending on-
places.
they should at least pay, the city some type of parking tax. If they're not gonna provide,
Well,
provide
that's that
parking.
in lieu parking,
Mhm.
like for that hotel down the beach that everybody's all upset about. And so they did that.
Or they did. they're gonna
Well, they
pay-
were, I don't know if that's all scratched now because they're redoing their plan or not. But the idea was they weren't gonna put that parking garage like they said, they were paying money instead for so many places.
Well, they did find out that the
But I think.
lower parking lot was below water level at high water, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Anybody could have told
a
them.
hotel is different. I think a hotel should have parking for every for the capacity,
Yeah.
you know, if somebody's, you know. I mean, I think like Joel's or something, maybe they have a few, or they have to pay a few, because. You see a lot of people ride their bike there, or walk over from City Beach, or, you know, and so they're not. But a
Well-
hotel is definitely gonna have a
Then again,
car.
do you want everything
for-
to look like the corner of Coachella?
Yeah.
Part paved,
Yeah.
everything. I know. So what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you
Well,
do with
that's-
the cars? I
yeah.
mean, what do you
Yeah.
do with them?
You park them outside. of-
Outside of town.
And then, yeah.
City does have
Yeah.
property over where the Lighthouse parks their trucks over on Boyer.
Or you have the shared vehicle model.
And I
which
don't
it
understand that, but
works.
and you can share that after.
It's
so it
like
doesn't
Lime,
break.
it's like the scooters.
Yeah, just,
You just have shared, you have
Right.
places where there's shared vehicles parked there,
And so
nice
it's like, put your
vehicles.
credit card in, you
Yeah,
drive it.
yeah,
you
yeah,
drop
that's
it
all
off
you
like a
do.
Bicycle.
And there's different types of models. You can get
Interesting.
SUV, you can get a van.
It's called, I'll have to look that.
It
up.
used to be called Zip Car.
Zip car.
I don't know what it's called now, but it works. It's really easy and it's very affordable.
So I was trying to do that with bikes downtown, but everybody's like, well, people just trash the bikes and
Now, when you use your credit card,
that's
Yeah.
what I thought.
yeah.
no, you
That's
put
what
a
I thought.
deposit
It's very
down.
nice and.
I can't get
The-
anybody to bite into that one.
The problem
Zip
is,
codes.
we're not an urban town.
Yeah. I know, but
Right.
it's-
So you're gonna have,
Yeah.
whoever's coming here is driving the
Mhm, yeah.
vehicle for the most part. If they're coming, whether they're coming from Canada or they're coming from Washington.
Right,
or-
but that's a different problem than people were talking about. We started talking
People
about
driving from-
multifamily housing.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
That's a different issue.
Mhm.
And the zip cars are for people that like
Yeah.
live here.
Yeah,
Interesting.
right,
Mhm,
right,
yeah.
right.
I've never heard of that.
But it sounds like they are moving, like the city council and the mayor are moving toward. Not requiring residential new development to have any additional.
That's,
parking.
that's on the
That's
books.
what it sounded
That's,
like.
That's
that's
not-
what it is now.
That's what it
Yeah.
is now. That's the
The
code.
idea is to change that.
Uh-huh. But
so
it
that they
sounded like,
have to
yeah,
provide-
it sounded like mostly everybody was in agreement with that. I don't know.
To charge, to have to change the code.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, they are in, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mhm, yeah.
and that's what he's asking is suggestions on.
Yeah.
Input for what that would be, what that new code would be.
Okay, I was
Like
just
by
getting a
square
feel
footage
for,
or-
it appeared to me that everybody was okay with that. But
No.
you're saying it, they're not.
No,
No,
Good.
One
That
thing
was
I've
to
seen
non-exempt.
is a line of thinking that says, okay, you know, it's not a problem now because it's walkable from outside the core and people can go park 3-5 blocks away and walk in. And in the future, the city parking lot will be a multi-story parking garage. And that's gonna be, I mean, I think Jason might have floated that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been talked about for a long time.
Yeah,
That doesn't
that's-
mean you have to do it.
yeah,
No,
that's been floated for years.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
In
would
fact,
like
that's
to
why
dis-
the city bought that piece of
I would
property.
really like to discourage that.
Yeah,
That's just gonna attract more cars.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, if we do, if
A
we
lot of
do
people
that,
are for that.
Well,
if they do, or if they do, if they, decide to build a 3-story or 4-story parking car garage, it shouldn't be in the middle of town.
Mm-mm.
It should
I
be on the
agree.
outskirts, definitely.
So the sustainability committee can recommend that. for
Yeah.
Sure.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes,
Whenever that happens, that you do that. Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know the timeline, like how you,
Well, I think it's probably pretty quick because it's,
but not for the parking.
oh, no, excuse me.
Because
yeah,
that's
I
like
was thinking-
millions of dollars.
Yeah,
we don't
that's,
have. Yeah, that's in the future, but.
but what's
That-
happening more immediately would be requiring developers to provide in building
Uh-huh.
housing or comparable.
I think probably what's more important than anything else is just slow the parking ordinance down.
Slowly.
So what is our action
Just-
item?
I think the action item is to ask the well, planning commission, because that's where it's going next, I guess. Is to slow it down and take a look at addressing the residential parking within the core downtown area. and actually take the time right now to look at the whole entire town or whatever for parking issues, because that would address the concerns for Bazaar and other areas that are very, very congested. I mean, you want to talk about a place that I am absolutely amazed that no person or vehicle has been hit. And that's at Dubs. And the city owns Dubs. And they're backing out onto Boyer constantly,
Oh, yeah.
and kids running out into their cars,
Yeah.
coming out there. And those are not even adequate parking spaces.
Okay, so how
Stepwise.
do we get to our action?
Well,
Would this
I
be a
think,
memo?
what?
Would this be a memo that we would need to, somebody would write and we would agree that we need to send it as a committee, or how would we do that?
I think that's probably the way to do it would be just, that would be an action item coming from the Sustainability Committee to addressing the concerns over.
So do you want to take the
Parking.
lead on drafting that?
Yeah.
And then send it out and then we edit it?
Yeah, because we won't have a meeting before that comes to.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And
And
just
then-
as a 2 cents
Yes,
for all
please.
of this, like Dubs, the parking thing, it doesn't match code. But the city can't require somebody to fix it
Right.
unless they pull a building permit.
Right, I understand that. I'm just saying is,
And that's, I 100%
Yeah,
get your
Dubs-
guys' concerns, I just,
Yeah.
Right, that was
And-
wasn't what we were talking.
yeah, I just using that as an example
Okay.
of some of the really dangerous spots.
Talking about the new code.
Okay.
And that's why I think that,
But so
Yeah,
that's.
okay.
So who's gonna draft a memo?
I will.
Colleen.
Oh,
So
okay.
who would I send the zip car site to so everybody can
Me.
become
Oh,
familiar? I
right.
did, you're
Okay, thank
private,
you.
but in terms of
Thank
the email, so that
Oh, send it
everybody
to-
can
we can
get
put it
it
on
and
this-
it can get, the idea can get in the memo.
They
So it's
can
the
get
same-
all the minutes.
Yeah.
That I share. I shared the minutes
Yeah.
always at the city council.
yeah, I think.
Right, but I would
I-
like to see that in the memo, not just.
Well, I
like-
think we'll just, the memo should just be kind of,
Well, as it
So-
like, here's, using it as
well,
zip,
example.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Zip car.
I'll have to get clarification on this memo that everybody wants to do, since we don't have a meeting before the next parking ordinance meeting.
Right.
So I will have to do some research and find out how, if you guys are coming forward with this, because there is only one action item on the agenda today for the minutes. There is no other action items. It's just a discussion. I can find out about that and I can let everybody know and make everybody aware.
it can be brought up at city council that,
Because we have. a
we've
meeting
talked about this,
before.
and I can bring it up at planning and zoning.
I just need to make sure legally that that's the way that we're supposed to
Yeah,
be
thank
doing
you.
it.
That's
I
why
mean,
we
for-
need you.
For the memo, yes, but I mean, I can, as a planning commission member, chairing this committee, had our planning commission meeting, state that we had a sustainability committee meeting and, concern over the parking, yeah.
Hmm. And if that's on our minutes, I
Yeah.
can share it as well when
Yeah.
I share the minutes of our meeting. You know what I'm
Well, and
saying?
the minutes are pretty generalized. They're not
Right. I know.
transcribed to exactly what everybody's saying, just
Right.
so everybody's aware.
Yeah, so, well, we have to, when you'll find out about a memo
I will ask about it, yes.
and then let Wade know.
I will reach out to the proper channels to let everybody know
Thank you.
how it's supposed to be.
Okay. And then, I don't know what we do. We don't have another meeting for a month, so.
When is the planning and zoning?
17th of
June 17th.
June 17th, yes.
But does Jason have a proposal for that exempt, non-exempt part
I'm going to be talking to him.
written up?
I
just
don't
want
think so.
to-
I'm going
yeah.
to be talking to him on it, so,
Because he has to bring something for
yeah,
this idea.
no, that's on my list. I just, he wasn't around much last week, and so neither was I.
Okay, so we'll just have to keep working on the sustainability side or
Yeah.
no.
Any other comments or questions, concerns about city projects?
I want the free tree program. Oh, what's that?
Well, I was just,
Okay.
we'll get to it.
Oh, that's next. But-
Well, I was just gonna finish,
Oh,
I
I'm
was just finishing up on any other city projects or anything that,
no, it's good.
Okay, sorry.
Good.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll get together with the
Um,
new park with you
that's-
first.
It's the only city project right now.
I'll be leaving town on the 10th and I'll be gone through the 24th, but if you get it done earlier, I will be able to comment on it. If not, I won't be able on your draft. The same.
Okay, well then we'll move on to the next, under new business is the discussion, Sandpoint's free tree program.
That was my item.
Yeah.
So, I have a home over in this Poplar neighborhood, which has the beautiful tree canopy, you know, as you go down Sixth. And a couple of years ago, Sandpoint had the free tree program and I got, yeah, and it was great. And I got a couple trees and I planted in the Meridian and, I recently moved over to like Pine Street. And I was like, I'm gonna put some trees in because Pine Street doesn't have much of a canopy at all. It looks, it's hot for one thing, there's no shade, there's no birds. The cars are screaming down, so it's a way to create more of a boulevard-like feel, and that also causes traffic calming, right? And then I found out, hey, we don't have that program anymore. So, I started, thinking about it and it really, is a sustainability concept. The idea of we've lost a lot of trees because of the big storm that came through in August of 2014, and there's just been a lot of people cutting trees. It's not just in the county, but in town. And both in Meridians and we lost that big, horse chestnut that was over on Boyer, which just is criminal in my mind. That one was taken.
I got
down.
2 of them you can have. Come and get them.
It was a beautiful tree and it wasn't on our heritage tree program and we had no plan for it. But anyway, I think that there's an opportunity, hopefully maybe the tree committee is looking at that. But I think there's an opportunity to look at the trees, not that just go in the Meridian, but maybe that go or getting planted in our yards and things for shade, which is climate related, for wildlife habitat, for beautification, for traffic calming. So it's really a larger concept. And then, you know, thinking about like even in my area now, like I have tons of birds there were tons of birds over in Poplar. And where I am right now, there's like hardly any birds and I'm like, well, this is weird, but there's a lot more trees over there. So, using the discussion that I don't want to like belabor this, but I think there's an opportunity to coordinate with the tree committee and possibly with, our native plant group in town, collaborate and look at, trees and plantings for multi-purposes. If, you know,
I don't know where they got the money for those trees when they had the neighborhood see what here.
I will just tell you guys, as I help run some of the news for the city website, there was an Arbor Day celebration poster that was posted to City News, on May 31st from 9 to noon. They will be in Farman Park, celebrating Arbor Day, and they are giving away 100 free large tree seedlings to people that come and pick them up. And then they are also going to be, planting a tree at the new parking lot.
Did you say large?
Yes.
yeah,
Because you
What
can't put
day?
those in the right of way.
you can't.
No, but
No.
I'm sure, you know, I'm not sure how they're doing it, but if they're going to be informing people on where they can and cannot park or plant these trees.
Right, yeah, which is great, that's great, but we all have,
Right.
like on Pine,
That's on
there's
the
a,
30th?
there's a line,
The
we have,
31st.
there's requirements for the median areas, for the right of way.
Right.
So you don't,
4 of mine.
yeah,
Yes.
cause then they come in and they
They're
they
dead.
butcher them and stuff
Crazy
like that.
weather. Florence, the right of way.
Yeah, and we also we're gonna start losing our trees. We already are having damage because of the heat effects on trees that were planted a long time ago that are forming those beautiful canopies. Some of them are starting to be impacted. The hawthorns in town are starting to be impacted. So it's more of a comprehensive issue, really. And I would be willing to meet with liaison with the tree committee. To just find out what they're up to. And talk about that.
Find out if we can bring that neighborhood tree.
Yeah.
Neighborhood program back.
Yeah,
Well, the more concrete we put down and the more asphalt we put down and the more we let people landscape with rocks.
right, we're gonna have the
we're
heat
gonna have
island
heat up,
effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big issue. So, anyway, I will volunteer to do that.
Great, awesome. Thank you. They just had a meeting. Last week. but
Where's the?
Is John the
other-
chair? Do you know who
He's
the,
not even on.
oh, he's not?
Who's gone? The chair is Mo's uncle.
Moses, yeah, Moses.
The logger.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say that. But, you know, you could talk to Kyle. Kyle is the liaison in the council for that.
You could also
And-
speak with Eric. He's the staff liaison.
Eric,
That's a good
what's the
meeting.
last name?
Bush.
Bush.
Oh, well,
He's the,
speaking of that, I
he's the
left a
urban
message for him
force.
and he didn't
Yeah.
return my call.
he's the urban.
I know,
force.
I believe he's been out for a couple days. I'm just not 100% sure of his schedule.
Sometimes
He
you
was
don't
on.
back from him immediate,
For a few days, I know.
or
that
maybe
too.
he does emails.
Okay,
He's behind in his emails. I would talk to Kyle.
and Kyle, last
That's
name?
good. Try, but should I?
And Moses isn't that bad, even though he's a logger, he's,
Oh,
yeah. He's
So we
not
have
the-
somebody that cuts down trees that.
Yeah,
share
but he
the
cuts
tree.
down trees for the value of them, not for the, and that's not shade, it's logs.
Right,
Yeah.
We need a city arborist.
Yeah.
didn't we used to have,
It's money. Money thing again.
well, all the taxes are all going up, so where's that money going?
Well, they,
to the parking lot.
taxes are
No,
going up.
just kidding.
Property taxes
water
are going
creek
down
going
because
up.
of the
Oh my
state-
God.
state legislature.
Sewer stuff.
The tax
When,
rate.
I'm sorry, this is totally off. But when are they looking at putting in meters to start actually charging people for this, for the parking lot?
Maybe you know that, 26.
Oh my.
Meters for the parking lots or
They have-
For the parking
downtown?
lot.
Yeah, the pass for the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not this year.
That's all part of the plan. If the plan's delayed a little bit, that might be a little bit too.
So residents are gonna continue to pay for the upkeep and,
They always have.
okay, yeah, I know.
Until that, yeah, and that's the whole proposal, parking, like Wayne was trying to get input from you guys on. It's just still a plan.
Yeah, does anybody know why they haven't tried to increase? $13 seems a bit for a year, seems a bit low. And everybody seems to be complaining about that, but that seems really
Or-
low.
Are at these meetings, is he bringing his plan or is it to talk about it again?
He was, my understanding, the plan's coming to be approved so that they can have it finalized by the next day after your meeting.
And so that would be a meeting to come to the city council or the planning and zoning about.
Yeah.
But you could talk for 3 minutes,
Okay,
give your input.
okay. Because I rode by the parking lot today, it's completely full. Completely full. So, already, but
Yeah,
it didn't
well,
seem like the
always-
street was
It always
full.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but now
That's
you
what
can
it's
really
for.
see it,
Oh,
because I guess the
Because the trees are
asphalt.
gone.
Yeah, because
And
it's,
she's-
right. No, you can. Really.
So where's that Arbor Day?
It's at Farman.
Oh, at Farmland?
okay.
I'll have to make up a meeting for you guys, just saying that there may or may not be a quorum there. It's not a mandatory meeting, but in case you all are there, so we're not violating open meeting laws.
Oh,
What, at the Farmland?
Mhm.
Yeah, oh. No, we can go different times.
what time?
Well, I've
is
had to do it for Urban Forestry Council, so I'll just probably have to do it for you guys too.
Okay. What time did they say?
It's posted on the website in case you guys do want to pull up the flyer. It's under the news, but it is posted from 9 to noon is what they said.
So I'm done with my
Thank you.
number 4.
Neighborhoods.
So
And
I-
I do know you have to get approval for what tree you wanna put, that's what I told you before.
You
Yeah.
do.
At this point,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you have to,
right,
yeah,
there's a list.
right.
And where, because we got 6 trees in the neighborhood project, and then they came back and cut one of them down because it was too close to a stop sign. It was obscuring the stop sign.
Uh-huh.
So whoever,
Interesting.
Well, they're supposed to plant them.
they did,
Yeah, they planted mine. Yeah,
they did is wonderful, and they're maturing and they're
Yeah,
great.
mine
That's a
too.
good one of them, they
I don't know
had,
what that
but I'm
is.
just saying, if the plan is to not have them do it, but to distribute them,
that wasn't my plan. I'm just want to coordinate and create something. I don't have any specifics.
it would need to be, lots of education around
Right,
what kind and how tall and where you put them
Well,
and
there's a list.
there's a whole list and it's by size and,
not in front of stop signs when it
Yeah.
matures.
yeah, well, you'd think
And
they
you have
would
to
have
get a
done it.
permit.
NRCIS used to do that too, the Natural Resources Organization. They used to plant trees out front in people's homes.
I planted a whole bunch of them.
And they know all the rules, so.
Okay, we do only have 9 minutes left.
Are we on to the round table yet?
Thanks.
I wanted to share some.
Number 5.
Number
is
5.
other Sustainability document.
Okay, that's just real quick in the lines that, I did put the sustainability plan and the documents from Nelson on, our website. so
The
you can take a look.
repository.
Repository,
Oh, good.
and they're from 1910, so, 2010, so they're, been around for a while. And they're using them now pretty much as their comp plan is what they're using.
And can I tag on to that?
Go right ahead.
Sustainability documents, same with the last Sandpoint Sustainability committees that they had. We copied a lot of those. They have a lot of things they started that I would love to see us visit and see if it's something. We don't have time to do it today. I was just trying to get it out there. Have a list. I had a list of the things. Just things like they were using, they were doing an energy audit, a lake assist program about the runoff, Sandpoint Farm Bill, glass recycling, climate citizens lobby, a green team. They had quite a few things they had started, and I think all of those minutes went into the repository. So I just, if people had time to glance at them and see, it just seems like a lot of these things were started. And then the committee was dissolved, and it might be things worthwhile picking up again or looking at again and seeing if anybody is interested in that. Because they did a lot of footwork, so we wouldn't have to do that.
And here's a
Makes
good book
sense.
for anybody that wants to understand climate change. So, and I bring it up because Zoe's part of our family,
Oh,
and we've also, we're part of the editing part of this, so.
great, thanks. And if I wanted to get something on the agenda next time, have somebody come. What do you guys think?
Did we have the gal from McCall?
No, because we didn't have a quorum, I
Yeah.
had to cancel her, and I'm just not gonna go back to her and
Spot.
risk the same thing.
Yeah.
So now we've kind of settled on this time, and maybe this is gonna work
Right.
Maybe it'll work better.
better. She's willing.
Yeah, and Zoe, although, up until, the issues, the Canadian border stuff, she was willing to come down and talk too. And she was sustainability, person for Norway for, about 6 years, so,
Be interesting.
yeah, she's got quite, and then she wrote also the sustainability plan for, Canada with the Prime Minister. So she's got a lot of experience, but, with.
Maybe she could do a video.
Well,
walk on
she's-
that.
She's
Coming
kind
out.
of political issues. She's got to be careful right now too, because she's still got, what do you call it? Well, no, reciprocatory type stuff. Things that she's done in certain places she can't talk about or discuss for a while, so
Oh, like non-disclosure.
non-disclosure stuff, yeah.
So
Anyway,
there's,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, there's a resource synergy group. They're going to do a compost out at the Ag Center on Schweitzer Cutoff on Boyer. And they invited myself and Maeve and Jason couldn't go to a meeting out there to share about it. And Alex and Eric, her boss, would like to come share with us. If that's something you'd like to hear about what they're going to do. They're gonna start with they want to start with restaurants and get that food waste to start. It's not gonna be anything that the public can just at this point, but they've got all the sheds. It's amazing, and I would love to have them share.
That'd
with
be
you.
great.
Yeah.
I'd
I'd
love
love
to hear
to. No, but they did try a trial with Schweitzer's food from the kitchen.
Oh, I see.
But it has to be very clean food, and so they're starting with the restaurant so that they can have some sort of control, but they would love to come talk. She had an emergency. I was trying to get her on for this week, but I never could contact her last week. She had a death in the family in Alaska.
Oh.
She's just getting back this morning.
What organization,
But
is it an
it's
organization? or
Resource Synergy.
Okay.
.com, resource/synergy.com.
So it's a business, it's a
Yeah.
new business.
Yeah, and they're working with the Kootenai tribe.
Oh.
So it's gonna be a partnership with them and the U of I. It's gonna be cool. They've got, I've got like a flyer of they took us through the whole thing, what they're gonna do, how they're gonna do it in the barns. But it would be great
That's
if you
great,
guys wanted to
because
hear about
methane
it,
gas
if we
is
had
worse
time.
than carbon.
We would have to talk, to Melissa or legal to see, cause you're just like a liaison, you're not like a part of the committee.
So here,
It's
would
just
you
like,
put
I
this
don't-
on the agenda?
Great, good enough.
Yeah, if you just send that to Katie, we can get it on the agenda for next time and.
Yeah.
Have it there.
I just want to know to tell them whether or not their names, I need these back. but
So,
that's-
so what is the
that's-
legal issue with having them come talk to us?
No, there's
Not
no
if
legal
we-
issue. Okay, Pam. All I was saying is that she's not a sustainability committee
Right.
member, and I don't know what the guidelines are, just like I can't propose something for the agenda.
Oh, I see.
Right, that's all I was saying.
But if you,
I
get
thought
it.
if
I
you
feel like
did
it's
something
being
and
very
you wanted to put it
aggressive
on
and
as
that
we
you're
can,
not.
yeah.
Yeah, we can.
No,
do
I'm
that.
not.
Doing it very well.
I'm
So,
saying,
it's
I
fine.
was saying that at the round table, I thought I got to
Yeah.
talk and I was going to ask if he could get this on the agenda was where I was going with that. I just wanted to share what it was so that you guys would know. If you were interested, that Wayne could put it on the agenda.
Does that take us off of our last discussion
I'm very,
item?
It is actually really.
I have a request.
They're not gonna get them from.
So I would like to make a motion, and I don't know, that on future agendas, we attach anticipated times for each agenda item. So that we stay on track. And we allow for items that are later in the agenda.
I will find out for you on that and bring that up next time.
That's something that I've done in
We-
the business world.
Okay. Yep, I can definitely find out for you.
We usually also attach a name to each agenda item of who's leading the discussion.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure how they set that up, but I can definitely find out for you.
Okay,
And then would you like a time, how long they need to put on the agenda to come share?
Yeah.
Would you like me to find out?
Yeah, you could, yeah.
I'd be happy to do that. They can be as brief as you want. I think it's just gonna be a great thing for the community.
We're about at our time.
so we didn't get Katrina. Dang.
And we can move that on to the next meeting as your guys' rolling discussion for the matrix thingy.
Would you ever get a third person in case Katrina and Wayne's out?
I can speak on that as well. It was brought to our attention that if neither the chair or the vice chair will be in attendance in the room, A member will need to be nominated as the presiding officer for that meeting. It's how we're doing it with other committees and commissions and everything. So that's something that can be done at the beginning of the meeting and we can, take action on it.
Oh.
So even if it's not on the agenda, we can still make it an action item to choose that presiding officer for that meeting.
So you can do it
Oh, a
At the
temporary.
on a meeting basis.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be in advance.
Right.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, just like what we.
Yeah, we don't have a standing presiding officer that would be like third chair. It's just we choose one at the beginning of each meeting if there's going to be a quorum.
Okay.
Okay,
I just want to say thank you to all the staff people for
Yeah.
newbies like me
Yeah.
that don't know the rules. I
Yeah, know what
appreciate
all the
it.
ins and outs.
Yeah.
We don't
do you
know.
want to go ahead and adjourn us?
Oh, you want me to sign that thing? don't you?
No, I just need
No.
this part.
Okay, is there any other information or comments? If not, then I would adjourn us at 4 o'clock.